It's time for the Sports Blitz, the only live-streamed local sports show in Arkansas, with all the latest on the sports stories that matter to you.
Welcome into the Sports Blitz on a Wednesday. It's an abbreviated week. It's not our fault. We had some weather concerns and we couldn't get here. Weldon lives on top of the mountain. He's much too valuable to let him get out and roam the countryside whenever he can't get down the mountain. So we had to skip out on Monday, but we're here on Wednesday, and Weldon, we got plenty of stuff to talk about.
We do, man. We have a whole lot to talk about. Really, if you want to start with what's hot, in my opinion, is what's going on locally. State tournament actions delayed, moved all around. You've got players and coaches all out of kilter as far as their schedule, but we've got some teams in this area who will be competing in state tournaments. And, of course, we're going to talk with Pottsville head coach Shane Thurman here in just a few minutes. Look forward to seeing how he's gotten his team settled, even though their routine has been disrupted. And there's so much going on nationally. NBA is hot right now. The MVP race, LeBron James dropping 61 points in the game the other night. Football free agency is coming up, college basketball. You know, if you're a Razorback fan right now, Mark, you're excited because you know that you're in contention for a tournament bid. So it's hot all around.
Yeah, we asked today's CrossFit Russellville poll question, and you know, I'm looking at Twitter and I'm following a bunch of people who are media types, and they're all asking the same question about the NCAA tournament. And is Arkansas going to make the NCAA tournament? Look, guys, all you really have to ask is if Arkansas is going to continue to win. Right. If they're going to win these last two games, they're going to make the NCAA, and that's in my opinion. But I feel like if they do that, they'll get the 3 or the 4 seed in the SEC tournament, and then if they win one game, it is almost a guarantee. That'd be 23 wins, 23-9. I guess 10 if they lost the next game in the SEC tournament. 23-10 in the SEC, and you know you'll look at the second half of the SEC schedule and see that Arkansas went on a tear and just really played everybody. The one loss in the last month has been a 1-point, buzzer beater type game against Missouri. So they've got a great resume going right now, and I didn't want to ask that question. So we went with a couple of different things, and we'll talk about the Hogs basketball. Since the last time we were on the show, they beat Kentucky. Now, Kentucky lost to South Carolina also, but they beat Kentucky, they beat Georgia. And now they've got Ole Miss tonight. Maddie's going to go, and he's going to witness the greatness that is Marshall Henderson and the Ole Miss Running Rebels. But the Running Rebels, that's the UNLV, but they can be the Running Rebels too.
Sure.
He's going to witness the Hogs at home, final home game of the year. Going to say goodbye to those seniors who have done so well this year for the Hogs. But today's CrossFit Russellville poll question, it deals with something completely different. We've been talking a little bit in the past about rule changes in the NFL and perhaps in the NBA. The NFL will talk today about the proposal to extend the extra point to a 42-yard extra point, which I made mention of a while back as an option. Didn't know that that's one of the things they were talking about doing. They watched the Sports Blitz and they found out. But today's CrossFit Russellville poll question deals with an NBA rule change possibly coming, and it's the 4-pointer. I know Adam Silver had talked about wanting to expand the size of the court, lengthen the court, make a little more open court game, and then add a 4-pointer. Are you for that or against that? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Let us know. Coach Thurman's going to call in here in just a minute. He'll tie up the phone line, but we'll have room for you after he is off the air. 968-NEWS is the number. It's 968-6397. We'd love to hear from you about that and about all the other stuff that's going on. But, Weldon, you made mention of high school basketball, and, athletes are creatures of habit. I don't know about you, but I've been itching the last couple of days to go watch these games. I was supposed to go yesterday to watch Clarksville and in Alma against BB. Game gets moved back. Russellville, their game's moved back. Pottsville, their game's moved back. Do you think that's going to have an impact?
Well, it could. Ultimately, it depends on how you handle it as a coach. A lot of these coaches have experience, maybe going back to their playing days, or even maybe as coaches where you have a game get moved or get canceled or your routine is disrupted. And certainly it's an inconvenience, but at the same time, you try to make sure your team is mentally and physically ready. You don't want to just drill them hard with extra practices. You don't want to wear them out, but at the same time, you don't want them to just be completely disengaged to where they're not locked in from a basketball standpoint. So So I think it's about finding that balance between mental and physical preparation. Are we mentally where we're ready and we're sharp, but not mentally burned out? And at the same time, are we physically keeping our bodies in rhythm, but at the same time not wearing ourselves out with hard practices? It's a fine line, but I think these coaches can handle it.
It is going to be it is going to be something to watch the next couple of days. You'll see coaches that handled it well and coaches and teams that didn't handle it well. I'm sure you're going to see some teams come out with some anxious energy, and they played a regional tournament. And it's going to be even harder for those 5A and above teams who hadn't played in a couple of weeks or at least a week, that they're going to have waited so long to play. And it's also going to be weird to see Sunday games, and you never really expected that. Going, into a state tournament, it's just, I don't know. I'm looking forward to watching some of these games. I'm hoping that Friday I'll be able to go watch Pottsville, but they're playing Lone Oak in the first round, and we'll talk with Coach Thurman about that here in a minute. But the Russellville High School boys will be playing on Friday at 5:30 against Lake Hamilton. Russellville, the 4 seed, Lake Hamilton, the 5. The winner of that one will get 1 seed Benton, who got a bye into the second round, and then the Lady Cyclones play El Dorado at 1 o'clock tomorrow. El Dorado, the 1 seed, and the Russellville girls, the 8 seed. It's going to be a tough one for both of these teams. You expect that the boys, you look at the conference record, and I don't know anything about Lake Hamilton, but you expect that the boys will have a better shot in round 1.
Oh, yeah, no question. I mean, the Lady Cyclones, we've congratulated them. We know they've dealt with some injuries. They've dealt with youth. They've handled themselves well. They've managed to be competitive in a lot of situations where it didn't look like they could compete, and they found a way to do that. So they'll get it going in the next few years. But on the boys' side, they do have a matchup against Lake Hamilton that's a little bit more even a chance. And we know Russellville. It's about shot making. It's about effort on the defensive end. If those things are going the way that they need them to go, they'll have a great chance against Lake Hamilton. Then, of course, the challenge will be against Benton, who's the top seed from the South.
And moving on to the Clarksville Panthers, they take on BB in boys action tomorrow at 2:30. They're in the Palace in Alma. It's going to be a fun place for the Panthers to play. They're 2-0 there all time in their 2 appearances in Alma's Airedale Gymnasium, but it's sort of going to be a home away from home for the Panthers playing in a 5A West home gym. But I know a little bit about BB, found out from a couple coaches that coached against them and watched a little bit of BB film. They've got a big guy who's pretty good. They've got a guard who Coach Davis said was really, really tough, and he said it was going to be a battle. A lot of folks, and I'm included, expect Clarksville to get this win in the first round against BB, and I'm looking ahead, which I know the players and coaches can't do this, but I'm looking ahead at a tough road for the Clarksville Panthers. BB is no pushover. If they get BB, then the next round they'll get the winner of Pulaski Academy and Camden Fairview. Camden Fairview beat Clarksville in the Russellville Cyclone Classic this December. And Pulaski Academy, Clarksville played them 2 years ago in the state championship game in 4A. They're always really good, and they're always right there in amongst the best. They were, I think, 11-3 in conference. Played a very good, tough conference slate there, and have acquitted themselves quite nicely. They're only the 2 seed because Jacksonville's the 1. So Pulaski Academy in the second round or Camden Fairview, either way, that's going to be a tough matchup. If they win from there, you look at the bracket, and if the seeds hold, they would get Trey Thompson and Forest City in the state semifinals. They beat them in the first round of the state tournament last year, but they had a Devin Sims who was a little bigger in Dedrick Lee, who D1 athlete. So it's going to be a difficult road for the Panthers. Now I think they've got an advantage at guard if they did match up against Forest City, but it's going to be a tough one because Trey Thompson's going to play for the Razorbacks, and it's not by accident.
Oh, absolutely not. And if you do get matched up with a Forest City, you can bet that Clarksville will be turning up some heat to try to not let Trey Thompson be a factor. But you look at this 5A bracket, Mark, and it's just tough throughout. I'm not sure from a depth standpoint that Class 5A isn't top to bottom the best league. I'm not saying, obviously you have 6 and 7A with bigger schools, and maybe the top teams in Class 6 and 7A may be a little bit better. But just in terms of depth of the league, you went over the top part of the bracket. I'm looking now at the bottom. Obviously you have Jacksonville, who's no pushover. Morrilton, they've beaten Clarksville before. Just a number of good teams. Harrison, we know they're also in the 5A West. So really top to bottom this league. Forest City, they're going to have to deal with Watson Chapel. Watson Chapel's no pushover either in that top part. So whoever wins Class 5A will they will have earned it. There's no question they will be a team, in my opinion, who could compete with anybody else in the state, regardless of classification, just because of what you have to do to get to this point.
Definitely. And, I'll look at the 5A here in just a minute, but I was thinking about this, and I was going to bring it up with Coach Thurman. I don't know if he's going to be able to get away to call us, but they, in their 4A state tournament, they'll have Lone Oak, who is the host of the 4A state tournament. And we're talking about deep divisions and classifications. They're the 3 seed, and they play tomorrow at 2:30 in Lone Oak against Lone Oak on the road at their place in the state tournament. Then they turn around, if they win that, they get CAC, who's the 1 seed, on Friday at 5:30. That's a pretty quick turnaround from one day to the next. And then if they win that, show them what they've won. A semifinal matchup with possibly Maumelle, team that's beat them twice, who's in their conference, who's one of the most athletic and probably one of the favorites to win the 4A on Monday. And then you go to the bottom half of the bracket, you got Lincoln, who's got some like 23 wins on the year, Brooklyn, who's a 1 seed and is very good, Monticello and Dollarway will match up in the second round. Those two teams were the favorites to win 4A all year. Monticello, I found out last night, had 2 starters kicked off the team for starting a fight. And don't want to talk about all the details because I don't know them all, right. But they've got starters missing from the team. But Dollarway is the team that played Pottsville in the state championship game last year. So that if they will have won the state championship again this year, we're talking about Pottsville, they will have definitely earned it, just like you're talking about Clarksville in the 5A. They've got a tough road to hoe as well. So we got Coach Thurman on the line.
There he is.
All right, now as we're talking about high school basketball, we're joined by Coach Shane Thurman of the Pottsville Apaches. Coach Thurman, how you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Well, good. Looking at your bracket right now, and we know that you got a tough road coming into the state tournament. You're taking on Lone Oak in the first round. I want to talk about that here in a moment, but walk us through the regional. Heard some good things about the way your guys played. Obviously, finished third in the regional. Got a nice win over Prairie Grove, but in the third place game. But you fell against Maumelle in what I saw as far as the score going as a great game, an all-time great from you guys. You guys always have battles with Maumelle. Talk about that regional.
Well, it started, there's no pressure like the first round game at the regional tournament on our level because, you win and you get to keep playing, you get to go to the state tournament, and you lose and your team is done. So we started the regional tournament playing against Farmington, and Farmington had beaten us by 1 point at the Alma tournament back at Christmas. And so we knew we were, our back was kind of against the wall. We knew that we had improved, but they had also, and so I was really proud of my team. I thought the guys really played well and pulled out a double-digit win against Farmington in the first round, and I thought played, really solid for 4 quarters, and just, it was nice to see how much they had improved since the Christmas break. Then we had to play, round 3 with Maumelle. I think they're as physically talented as any team in Class 4A. Just really a great team, and so we knew we'd have to play well, and we led for the majority of the game. We were ahead even going into the fourth quarter, and got beat 79-76, and took a shot at the buzzer that would have tied the game, and it just rimmed out. So we had the short turnaround then with after Maumelle. We had to play Prairie Grove on short rest. Played that Saturday afternoon game, which I think is maybe the toughest game to play of any that you play all year. It's really hard to come back and play that third place game on a little bit of rest. And of course, we're a long ways from home, and Prairie Grove is just 10 miles down the road. So at halftime, the score was 21-21, but in the third quarter, we outscored them 22-2 to build a nice lead, and then could kind of coast to the victory after that.
Man, 22. I didn't realize. I saw the final score. I didn't see that there was a 22-2 run there. Well, that'll get it done most of the time.
Every time. Coach, it's good to talk to you again. You look at whether it's high school or college or really any level, every coach wants their team to peak as they get into postseason play, and obviously you guys are getting ready for a state tournament run. Where's your team at in terms of playing their best basketball? Are they at that point to where you're saying, okay, we're starting to peak, we're starting to play some of our best basketball? Are you at that point right now?
Yeah, I really, this season has kind of been I wouldn't call it a roller coaster, but we've had our ups and downs during the year. At Christmas, we were 5-7, struggling in every sense, and then we got really hot in our conference season, and I felt like the next to last week of our conference season, we beat Subiaco and we beat Maumelle, two big rivalries who had beaten us earlier in the year. I felt like we were playing our very best basketball right then. And I thought we kind of went through another little lull where we were still playing well, but not shooting it as well as we did during that little stretch. And then this past week at the regional tournament, I feel like we're building back up to that level where we need to be in order to win some games at the state tournament. I really think offensively we are starting to peak. And we found our identity defensively, and that has, in the past, we've played a lot of man-to-man defense, and this year we've kind of gone to a multiple defense approach where we don't stay in anything too long and try to give people some different looks and try to keep them off balance. And the guys have kind of bought into that, and I really feel like it gives us a great chance this week.
Well, Coach, I've enjoyed watching your guys play, and the fact that you talked about keeping them off balance, keeping the other team off balance, it seems to be something that's worked out very well for you guys. And speaking of off balance, this weather delay has delayed the entire state tournament, pushed it back a couple of times, and I'm sure it's changed you guys' preparation in some way. How has this state tournament delay sort of changed the way you've gone about preparation?
Well, we tried to sell it to our guys this way. We played on Saturday, and they had off Sunday and Monday, and even though we were out of school yesterday, we were still able to practice. So we tried to just sell it to our guys, hey, listen, this is just like it normally is, where we play on a Friday, get 2 days off, and then we get to come back and prepare for our next opponent. So, that's the way we've talked about it with our team, just, hey, listen, this is not that much different than what we've done all season. From a coaching standpoint, I hated to push it back because waiting is the hardest part in the postseason, and it just adds another day of all the butterflies and all that kind of thing. But I think our guys are ready to play. We've got some gamers, and I like I said before, I'm really proud of the way they progressed. And one of the areas that I think that they've really improved upon is their ability to prepare. Michael and Travis have been through this before. Michael Perry and Travis Cole have been through it before, and they kind of know what it takes to prepare. But everybody else is new to this in the postseason, and so I kind of feel like that group of sophomores and Andrew Rushing, our junior, that starts, I really feel like they have improved in that area, just in what it takes to prepare to win.
Well, speaking of preparation, he's segueing me directly into these questions very well. You're preparing now to play the host Lone Oak Jackrabbits in the first round of the 4A tournament. What's it like to prepare for the host of the tournament? Does it change anything for you? And what do you know about Lone Oak?
Well, it's a tough draw. We looked at the bracket going in before we played that third place game, and I kind of felt like it was going to be Lone Oak if we won. And I thought, that's a tough break. That's a tough draw. But at the same time, this time of the year, last year at this time, we were preparing for the number one team in the state, in Monticello. They had been ranked number one for 12 straight weeks. And so we felt like that was going to be a really tough game. It's kind of the same thing this year with Lone Oak. Very, very physically talented. Their center is an Arkansas State commit to play football. He's super athlete, and one of the best athletes we'll play all year. Really good overall quickness. They play 6 guys, play a lot of man-to-man defense, and they're really good at it. That's probably what I would say that they're best at. And they're going to pressure some, probably not on the same mentality as Maumelle, but very, very good in their pressure. They don't gamble much, and it's they kind of try to wear you down with just being consistently good on defense. Okay. On offense, they do a great job of driving the ball, and so we're going to try to, keep them in front of us and really close our gaps down and try to make it difficult for them to drive the ball. And if they beat us, we want to make them beat us shooting the ball over the top of us. So, that's been where we've tried to prepare the last couple of days. And like I said before, I really think the guys are pretty close to ready. One more day to prepare today, and I think we'll be there.
Well, Coach, speaking of preparation, I want to get your take on your scouting philosophy, because I know some coaches and teams do it differently. You look at the NCAA tournament, the way some teams will do it is they'll prepare for their upcoming opponent, but then they'll have assistants, or in their case, GAs, sort of look at the other matchup, and because they'll play the winner. I know you're not passing on any information on CAC to your players, but how much have you and your staff looked just to get a foundation of being able to be prepared for a CAC team who you would play if you were to beat Lone Oak?
Well, because it's such a short turnaround, I think you have to have that information ready if you're able to advance. And so, I'm really blessed. I have an assistant coach that I trust completely. That's Garrett Hill, and he is who I rely on to start breaking down film on the next opponent in CAC. I've tried to focus my attention on the first game and try to focus our team's attention on that first game. I've watched about 15 minutes of film total on CAC, and I just asked Coach Hill to work on the game plan if we're able to advance. And so he's got that ready to go in case we get to that point. And he's talked to some coaches, in that part of the state that have played, multiple times against CAC. And so I feel like he's got that game plan ready to go. I think another thing that's really important in scouting, we really try, as the season progresses, we try to talk more about situations than we do about specific opponents. And so when we're preparing, we're talking more about that situation, playing a certain team that plays a certain style, so that when you do face a new team, a different team, a team that you haven't played all year, you can refer back to your preparation in those situations versus specific opponents. And when it gets to when you start breaking it down for the team, then the only thing we really talk about is personnel when it comes to a specific opponent, because hopefully during the year you've prepared your team for all the situations that they would face.
I like it. I like the way they plan and prepare and get their team ready to play. Well, Coach, we wish you the best of luck against Lone Oak. Before we get you out of here, though, we're going to talk today about the 4-point NBA line that they're talking about possibly putting in, a 4-pointer behind the 3-point line, probably a good ways out there. Do you have any thoughts on a 4-point line? What do you think that would do to the game?
I'm not in favor of it. Of course, I'm a traditionalist, so I kind of feel like if it's not broke, don't fix it. I think it would definitely change the game, just like the 3-point line spread the court. That would definitely spread it out even more. The thing that I look for in high school basketball before we see something like that, though, I really think that we're getting closer to a shot clock in high school basketball.
Yes.
I've got friends that coach in other states that are already dealing with it. So, I think that's the next thing we'll see in high school basketball.
You for the shot clock or against it?
What's that?
Are you for or against the shot clock?
Depends if I'm ahead or behind.
That's true. That's a good point. Well, Coach, we look forward to watching you play. I'm going to try to get out there on Friday to Lone Oak and watch you guys play the host Lone Oak Jackrabbits. We wish you the best of luck. Go win another state championship, Coach. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
That's Coach Shane Thurman, Pottsville Apache's head basketball coach. We got to hit a break. We're going to talk about that 4-point play. Maybe we'll even talk about the shot clock in high school basketball.
Yeah, we need to.
But we look forward to some good games again. Russellville girls tomorrow against El Dorado. Clarksville boys tomorrow against BB. Pottsville boys tomorrow against Lone Oak, and then the Russellville boys on Friday against Lake Hamilton. Some good high school basketball. This is the time of year when it's win or go home, state tournament style. So we'll be back with much more on the Sports Blitz right after this break.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. We've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russell and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news.
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
Developing stories.
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
And weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
KRK4 today.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? Not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
here's what you missed.
Updated news.
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
Developing stories.
There's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
And weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
KRK4 today.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russell. You know, we've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russell and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
Back on the Sports Blitz on a Wednesday. Mark Freeman, Weldon Braxton, Maddie Lassiter in the Cogswell Motors studios. Thank you to Coach Shane Thurman, Pottsville head boys basketball coach, for visiting with us, getting us ready for that game against Lone Oak tomorrow, 2:30 tip in Lone Oak against the Jackrabbits, first round of the 4A state tournament. Clarksville boys play at 2:30 tomorrow as well in Alma. The El Dorado Russellville girls game is at 1 o'clock. I'm mentioning these because I didn't mention the time earlier. And then the Russellville boys Friday at 5:30 against Lake Hamilton. Those state tournaments in the 6A in Jonesboro. So looking forward to if they can get there. I don't know. Jonesboro is pretty covered up right now with ice. So if they can get there, they'll get those tournaments taken care of. And I'm looking forward to hearing good news from all those teams. While we are jumping around here, we've talked a little bit about high school ball and talked a little bit about the Hogs in the first segment, but we want to get to the Wire. This is where we run down the list of other stuff that we need to get to in the day. And since we weren't here Monday, it's changed things up a little bit. Today's CrossFit Russellville poll question deals with an NBA proposed rule change to lengthen and widen the court and put in a 4-point line. You heard Coach Thurman, and he's not necessarily for it. If it's not broke, don't fix it type thing.
Right.
I think it would make the 4-point shot would make some excitement, like you mentioned. But our question today to you is: are you for it or against it? Why do you like it? Why do you not like it? What do you think about a 4-point line in the NBA?
Yeah, I'm not in favor of it, and I think my primary point is actually one that Coach Thurman mentioned right before he left us. Is the 3-point line was enacted to help spread the floor. If you want to compare it and talk about, well, you have to evolve. The 3-point line was an evolution. The 4-point line is the next evolution. The reason why I don't necessarily agree with that is because I feel like the 3-point line accomplished what the 4-point line would be trying to accomplish. You needed to open up the floor in the 1980s and beyond. You needed to open things up, and it did that. I don't watch basketball right now and think, man, this game is so cluttered, or at least the NBA. Now, college, I do. College is a clustered game. It's a physical forearm as you cut through the lane kind of game. They're trying to clean it up. But the NBA is a pretty free-flowing game right now. It's not really all that physical. You're not really seeing finesse-type players get jammed up. It's pretty open. You could argue the NBA needs some other rule changes and things to fix itself in other ways, but in terms of being open and spread and free-flowing, I think that problem is just fine. Therefore, I don't think you're going to accomplish the same things you are with the 4-point line as you did with the 3. That's my primary reason right now. In addition to that, I feel like basketball from a fundamental standpoint is really bad right now. You have better athletes in the NBA, but you don't have better basketball, in my opinion. And I think when you have guys, I'm a big fan, or I don't like guys who can do something. If you tell me a guy can do something, I'm leery. Oh, that 7-footer can shoot jump shots. That tells me he shoots 1 out of 5. No, nobody says Ray Allen can shoot threes, do they? They don't
have to say it.
Yeah.
They just watch him do it.
They just watch him do it. So that's why I'm leery of. Oh, he can step out. He goes 1 out of 5. Now it's he can step out and shoot that 4, and he's like 1 out of 8. I don't want to see that.
I completely agree with the point that I think I was telling Maddie before the show. I'm not opposed I'm not going to fight a 4-point line because I do think that the players are getting bigger, faster, stronger than they've ever been, and widening the court. That's the only way you can put a 4-point line in if you make the court 10 foot wider. Because if not, you're already got guys with their size 20s on the out of bounds line when they're shooting the 3 because it's so close over there in the corner. So you'd have to widen the court and then lengthening the court to take advantage. Well, I say take advantage to allow for more of a free flowing game with these freak athletes who can run 4.40s, flying down the court, dunking on people. I think it would change the game a lot. I wouldn't mind it so much in the NBA, but just think about the difference between college, high school, NBA. It would just be a completely different game at every level. In high school, Coach Thurman mentioned no shot clock. Well, that's a different world going into college where there's a shot clock. And then you go into the NBA and now there's a 4-pointer. I mean, it would just be like you're playing 3 different games at 3 different levels. So, I definitely don't want to see a 4-pointer in high school because I know the 3-point line was a big deal, and like you said, you've got guys. Well, yeah, he was a mid-range shooter. He could shoot the 3 some, and he's stepping out 3-4 more feet to shoot a 4-pointer. The quality of the game I think would go down a lot because you have guys who think they can shoot the 3 that are out there shooting the 4 now, and it's just the percentages would go way down. So I'm with you on that. I do think that the NBA right now has the greatest athletes in the world. You look at LeBron James, you look at Dwayne Wade, and some of these guys who are just freakishly athletic, and I believe LeBron James could go and be the best tight end in the NFL right now. If he were to practice and get ready to go play an NFL season, I think he could be the best at whatever position he chose to play in the NFL because he's a freak. You've got some of these guys, you're going to have to make some sort of concessions to make sure that, I don't want to say they're going to get bored, to make sure that the game continues to evolve. So I wouldn't fight a 4-point play. It would change the strategy of games. You're down 4 points late. It's not go get a layup and then try to, shoot a 3 at the buzzer to win or whatever it would be. It's, we can shoot the 4. We can set up a play for a 4-point play. We can bring in the 4-point shooters at the end of the game. Doesn't that just sound weird?
Yeah, the 4-point shooters.
Got our guys that are going to come in and shoot the 4.
Yeah, look, and the other part of this is the shot clock, and this is probably where I'm really more dug in than the 4. I don't like the 4. I mean, it's not going to affect my life if it comes. I just don't like it. The shot clock is an embarrassment right now. And obviously, I'm not talking about the NBA. It's fine. But college and below, there has to be something. First of all, college basketball, you do not need 35 seconds. Look, there are teams who, with a 35-second shot clock, still take bad shots with 5 seconds left on the clock. So it's not like say, well, 24 isn't enough time. Look, you can get a good shot or a bad shot whether you have 35 seconds or 24. I'm not even saying they should lower it to 24 because it's college. They're not as skilled. Lower it to 30. I think you would see a huge difference just going from 35 to 30. And then in high school, I know some states have it, some don't. I want to be a state that has it because right now you're seeing in high school basketball ridiculous scores, and I'm not in a high scoring way. I'm talking like 7-5 at the end of the first quarter, and just teams, especially teams who know they're physically outmatched, they'll burn 3-4 minutes off the clock per possession just to keep the score down and all of that. It's an insult to the game of basketball. If high school wants just 35 seconds, they want to start there with a 35-second clock, that's fine with me. But to me, that's the real travesty here. No shot clock in high school and then 35 seconds in college basketball. I think they would both be served well to improve in that area.
Yeah, I do think that the high school game needs a shot clock. I'm a Clarksville Panther grad and alum, and I'll enjoy watching them play. But if they get a lead of 4 or 5 points toward the end of a game with the team they've got right now, Freddie and Kendrick Lee, you're not getting the ball back. They're going to run around in circles. They're going to pass to each other, and they're just going to reset over and over and over and over. And it's fun for me to watch because I like watching that Harlem Globetrotter dribbling display. Yeah. You have to foul them. You're not going to take it from them. You have to foul them. I think it's gonna change the game. Like Coach Thurman said, it depends on whether he's ahead or behind, whether he likes that or not. It would change. There's no more standing up there holding the ball, and that's a Clarksville thing that they did a couple years back too. And not with Coach Davis, he would never do that. But just stand there at half court, hold the ball, the whole half. I've seen a half in 2-0. Mm-hmm. I've seen a half in 7-5. Because a team is just way overpowered by another team, and they just hold the ball and then wait till the end of the half. It's worked out for and against my guys in the past. I've seen it happen. But now I'm for a shot clock in high school basketball.
Yes, amen.
All right, let's move on. The 4-point play, we're kind of split on that. The 42-yard PAT in the NFL. We're talking about proposed rule changes. Obviously, these haven't happened yet, but it's possible. You never know if the powers that be in the NFL will decide to do this, but it's being debated right now. Taking 19 yards right now, 22 yards, something like that. It's a really short extra point right after a touchdown, going from the 3-yard line, moving it out to, I guess it'd be the 35, and snapping it from the 35. It's a 42-yard kick, or I guess you're getting the ball down on the 35 it'd be
a 25, I think.
25 is where you snap it from 30.
20. So it'd be
17 yards from the snap.
Yeah, so it'd be a 42-yard, right?
Yeah.
So it'd be on 20.
Snapping the ball from way back there, making it a 42-yard extra point. It would change the complexity of the extra point. A team ties the game, and they've got to kick the extra point to win. They're not already celebrating. They've got to watch and make sure that this kick gets there. It would change things. NFL players, and kickers especially, don't like it, which I can see it from both sides. The regular players don't like it. The kickers don't like it because it puts more pressure on them. The regular players already hate kickers, and they don't want them to decide. A kicker come out to decide this game from 42 yards. I don't think this is going to happen.
I think it's one of those things where we're at a point with kickers. You need to decide if you want them in or out. I think right now we're kind of in between. Some people want more emphasis placed on the kicking game. That's what a proposal like this would do. Some people, they're the other way. They want kicking completely out of the game, kickoffs, extra points, field goals, just everything eradicated. I look at it like this. I think that the extra point is essentially a foregone conclusion. What's the percentage, like 98, 99% conversion rate? That's ridiculous. So if you're going to have kicking in the game, I feel like you need to do something. We've heard all kinds of proposals, the one where you get 7 points and you can kick, or you can go for it and get 8, or kick or keep, whatever the rule is. You can keep what you have. And then they have this new rule where you just move it back. I'm really not even – I don't even care what they do necessarily. I'm not a big fan or a big antagonist against either one of them, but I do want to see something. I don't like seeing extra points just be a foregone conclusion. So if you want to move it back, that's fine. If you want to do the whole option thing, I think that's a little bit weird, but I'm fine with that too.
I definitely think that's weird.
I mean, to me, it's just whatever. Just do something to get the kicking game spiced up a little bit.
And, like I said, I'm not necessarily opposed to the longer extra point. I just don't think it's going to happen because there are people on both sides fighting it. I do think that they do need to do some stuff to spice it up. But like Coach Thurman said, man, the NFL is the most popular, and he didn't say this, but he said if it ain't broke, don't fix it. NFL is the most popular game in, I say the world, in America for sure.
True.
It's behind soccer. And you people like soccer, man, something's wrong with you. It's behind soccer in the world, but in America, it's king. It's not even close. And, I don't know. Maybe they're trying to mess with something that doesn't need to be messed with, but they're trying to evolve.
And I understand that. I think it's one of those things where you look at it like, I don't think the 4-point play would be an improvement. I think you would be messing up something. But, I almost look at it like, what if I'm the CEO of Walmart? I'm the biggest retailer in the world. I'm successful, but does that mean I stop doing research on new ways to innovate my product, innovate my business? Because somebody's always trying to compete with me. I know the NFL, they don't have really any competitors right now, but I think you have to have a little bit of foresight and just think, well, what can I do to be better? I don't want to mess up what I have, but I'm the CEO of Walmart. We're the biggest retail giant right now. But I don't want Target to catch me. I don't want other people to catch me. So, let's at least start doing some research and see what we can do to make ourselves even better. And I know there's a fine line between it, but I think this would be one of the changes where you have a great product. I think the kicking game, I think it'd make it even better.
Well, we'll see how that conversation develops. Speaking of a developing conversation, the MVP race in the NBA, we've hit the 4-point play a minute ago. I don't know if you guys saw it the other night. If you were behind or under a rock, you may not have seen that LeBron James went for 61, 7 and 5 in what I thought was an incredible game. Hit his first 8 threes. He got to the point where he was just one of those, let it fly, and then he's backpedaling before the ball even hits the net because he knows it's going in. He was hot. Now, Carmelo hit 62 a couple weeks ago against the same Bobcats, and I think LeBron's game was much better because, Carmelo's the ultimate 62, 1-1-1 kind of guy, as Nick Mason put it. But LeBron had 7 rebounds, 5 assists to go with it. He played a team game, and it was a close game that his team won.
Right.
I did think it was funny that I heard some folks saying which one's more impressive, LeBron's 61 or Kobe's 81.
Yeah.
Why don't you think about that for about 2 seconds? Because it's not close.
I don't know why it went that. I'm not trying to interrupt you, but I don't know why people took it that way. I know there's this whole Kobe LeBron thing. I just feel like people just wanted to bring that up.
That's exactly right. And I don't think it needed to be brought up. No. I'm a LeBron guy. Don't really care for Kobe. Still not 81. 61. A bunch of people scored 61.
Yeah.
There's only been 2 people in the world ever who scored 81.
Yeah, I agree with you. LeBron was impressive. And look, I know people were kind of dogging the team a little bit, but they had a back-to-back against Houston. And, Dwayne Wade came back. Chris Bosh didn't show up. And Houston's a good team at home, so not really a big deal. LeBron's legs, LeBron's legs were hindered. But I'm looking at the MVP race now. You look at Oklahoma City, Kevin Durant, he dropped 49 and sat down in the fourth quarter. To me, LeBron James has evened up the MVP race as far as I'm concerned. It's not like Kevin Durant has done anything to hurt himself. It's just LeBron has now gotten himself dressed in the phone booth, and he's playing like it. I mean, he is big time right now. When LeBron James is hitting shots, game's over. We know he's not Mr. Big time consistent 3-point shooter. He's improved, but we know it's kind of a streak thing. When he's hot, you can forget about it. When he's, other than that, he's pretty consistent. So the Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant dynamic as far as the MVP, because I know a lot of people are pointing to that changing things up, and it will to a degree, but I got to give Russell some credit because Russell Westbrook, I said it before, he is now playing point guard for real. We know he is sensationally talented. He always has been, but now, and he was doing this before he got hurt, he is now cutting back a little bit on his shots. His assists are up. His turnovers are down. He is making good decisions. If you got Russell Westbrook playing legitimate point guard and doing a little bit of scoring on the side, but still letting KD be the scorer, Oklahoma City's tough.
And nobody's going to beat him in the West.
No.
A ho-hum 20 minutes for Russell Westbrook last night. He just had 13 points, 14 assists, and 10 rebounds. Just had a triple-double.
Yeah, what is that, a triple-double?
Triple-double with 3 steals there in 20 minutes of game time. And you mentioned Kevin Durant, 42 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals, and a huge win for the Thunder. It's sort of like the back and forth, anything you can do, I can do better type thing between LeBron and Kevin Durant. I like this back and forth. I wonder if it's going to affect either one of them. I think that Oklahoma City has got a tougher road through the playoffs as far as playing 3 really tough series.
Right.
Miami's going to have to get past Indiana and not much else in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
So, leading up to that, I think Miami needs to conserve some energy, especially guys like D Wade. I like the way that they're using this preventative maintenance type thing with him. They sit him out for no good reason just because, and then he comes out and plays well. I think if they continue to do that, he has some legs fresh coming into that series against the Pacers. Then I've got a lot more confidence that my Heat can get that done. But I'm looking at another crash course for how it was 2 years ago, Oklahoma City, Miami in the finals, and that's just going to be an incredible series.
It is going to be a really good series. Dwayne Wade's health, that's the X factor. I'm on record, I haven't wavered one bit. Dwayne Wade's healthy. Even with as great as Oklahoma City's been, I still got the Miami Heat. But I think as far as this MVP race, it's interesting to me. Normally when you're a champion or when you're a title holder, normally that means somebody has to do something extraordinary to take it from you.
Yep.
I think it's the opposite with the MVP. I feel like because of voter fatigue, LeBron has to go above and beyond to keep the MVP because if it's close or even, they don't give it to KD.
Yeah, the last night of the year, LeBron's going to have to go for 50 just to show everybody, all right, because I think right now he jumped his scoring average up a half a point in one game with that 60 point. It's March. And he jumped it from 26.9 to 27.5, I believe was the number I saw in one game with that huge game the other night. And he's right there, like you said, against Houston last night, who they don't care if you score 100, they're going to try to score 120, and they just outscored Miami last night and beat them in a rough one there in Houston. But I'm looking forward to a good stretch run. Looking forward to possibly doing, I'm going to try to find us a place that we can do a live remote from NCAA tournament first couple of days. Looking forward to March Madness as well. We're going to talk some Hog basketball here in just a minute, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Brightest Stars Banquet.
Hi folks, Richard Roberts with Cogswell Motors in Russellville. We've been in business since 1949. A dealership doesn't stay in business that long under the same ownership unless you're doing something right, and that's taking care of customers. We have the largest selection of new Ford, Lincoln, Mazda, and pre-owned vehicles in the River Valley. So if you want the most for your trade, the best interest rate on financing, and the best price on a new or pre-owned automobile, come to Russellville and see us. We're at 1900 East Main, or visit us on the web at cogswellmotors.com.
If you didn't count on KARK4 today this morning,
Here's what you missed.
updated news,
Police continue searching for suspects after a home intrusion overnight.
developing stories,
It's another piece of presidential history turning up here in Arkansas.
and weather and traffic on the force.
Friday night, Saturday morning will bring us our next chance of rain.
Every 10 minutes.
Around the clock.
Making your day easier.
So rise and shine and count on.
Count on.
KRK4 today.
RiverValleyLeader.com is the #1 local source for instant news in the River Valley, offering HD video and live streaming along with top-notch coverage of all the news and events around the area. The River Valley Leader is the only place to go for all the information you need. Check out the newest local business featured on the site, as well as police news and coverage from important meetings, along with the personal stories, all at one convenient click. Check out RiverValleyLeader.com.
Today, there are more than 20 brands of cars being sold in America. So to be noticed, Ford and Cogswell Motors have to go further than anyone thought we could. How does Ford stand out above the crowd? not just with plug-in vehicles like the new 2013 Ford Fusion Energy that gets a projected 100 miles per gallon equivalent, but also with a line of gas vehicles equipped with the innovative EcoBoost engines combining power and efficiency, plus a full measure of technologically advanced features. We invite you to stop into Cogswell Motors today. We go further than anyone thought we could, so that you can go further too.
As we welcome you back on a Wednesday to the Sports Blitz, Mark Freeman, Weldon Braxton, Maddie Lassiter in the Cogswell Motors studios. We need to make you aware of something we just shared on Facebook and shared on the River Valley Leaders site. Talked to you a little bit about it on Friday, and it's the Sports Blitz and Help Network's Brightest Stars Banquet. Man, I'm looking forward to this event, Weldon. We're going to be giving away 22 awards, Players of the Year in every sport except for wrestling. We didn't have enough schools that participated in wrestling. I think there was only just one or two maybe. Okay. So maybe if some of these schools start jumping up and competing in wrestling, I apologize for not being able to do it. But 22 awards in all these sports, including Coach of the Year, Assistant Coach of the Year, and a scholarship that's going to go out to one lucky student athlete. And we're looking forward to that event. May 29th, Russellville High School. You can buy your tickets at rivervalleyleader.com. They're $25 a piece. There are going to be 3 finalists who will be nominated from our 10-school area. You've got Russellville, Clarksville, Lamar, Pottsville, Dardanelle, Danville, Dover, Two Rivers, and Hector, and who else? I'm missing one from this area, Atkins, that you're going to have represented in each sport. You're going to have a bunch of different opportunities to win awards. We want the coaches, the families, the friends, the teammates, all of them to show up and support their local athletes. And Weldon, I think, as far as an all-encompassing awards banquet, this is the first of its kind in the River Valley.
I think so too, especially the quality. I can't emphasize that enough. It's not like it'll be, people will say, well, they've had things before, there's been banquets before, but I think we really need to emphasize the quality of what will be going on here as Mark holds up the flyer.
That you can't see at all.
Yeah, you can't see it, but the spirit was there. Just trust at home that the flyer is there. So the high quality, the ticket will be well worth it. The speakers will be really good as far as the emceeing and the awards given out. Really good atmosphere, and I think it'll be an exciting evening.
Yeah, you're going to have a catered dinner by Italian Gardens, which is always good. You're going to have the MC, Aaron Peters from KNWA. He's the host of Razorback Nation. You may have seen him there on NBC in Northwest Arkansas, and we're just looking forward to a great time. Joined now on the phone by Mr. Brad Caldwell. Brad, what's going on, man?
Well, I was wondering why I was not the keynote speaker for this thing until you said Aaron Peters. I'm like, man, I can't beat that. So I guess I'm going to have to sit back and wait for my turn.
Yeah, well, we thought about you, but we thought you might be too busy with all the, gallivanting around the world doing awesome stuff that you do.
Oh,
well,
you too.
Since Snowmageddon in Northwest Arkansas, I haven't been doing a whole lot right now, so it's been a rough winter in Northwest Arkansas, and hopefully we have seen the last of our snow.
Yeah, I think we probably have. I'm crossing my fingers as well because I don't want this state tournament stuff to get pushed back any further. You going to get to go watch any state tournament basketball?
Yeah, I'm probably going to head down to Alma. I'm real interested to see the Trey Thompson kid. Of course, also the Huntsville Lady Eagles consistently making the state tournament every year, number 2 seed out of the 5A West. Really has a good draw to maybe make some noise in the tournament. So I'm interested to see that. But, yeah, we'll probably spend a lot of time in Alma.
Sweet. We'll have to go eat some catfish hole.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Well, what's on your mind today?
Man, I just wanted to call in, hear your sweet voices, and just, just talk about the Hogs a little bit, man. I haven't got a chance to do that in a while. We've been pretty busy and up here, and I don't know, last time I called in and talked to you guys about Razorback basketball, I mean, we were in the dumps, and everybody was wanting to fire Mike, and here we are now, 9-7, got a chance to play our way into the tournament still. Looks like we're on the right side of the bubble right now. I mean, things are probably as good in a Razorback sport right now as they've been since Bob Petrino crashed his motorcycle. So it's pretty exciting for this basketball team, and I think we're really heading in the right direction. I think we're headed up, man. If you look at just what we got left, a chance to play in the tournament, and then also what we got coming in next year and the possibilities of a couple other additions, things are looking great.
Yeah, I'm with you. We may have turned it around for him, Weldon, with us talking about the Hogs and how this needed to happen, that needed to happen. We turned it around for him.
I think so too. I think, fellas, for me, this team's playing with so much confidence. People ask me all the time, like, what do you think's different with the team? Who's playing better? And they've got some individuals playing better, no doubt. But I just think the confidence level of this team is so high. When you can go into a Rupp Arena, I know Kentucky's not what they were a couple of years ago, but it's still going into Rupp Arena in a tough environment, and they just owned it. They went into Rupp like, we're supposed to be here, and we're supposed to be here to win the game, and we don't care, that you are the Big Blue Nation. We're supposed to be here to win this game. And when you own yourself like you're a tournament team, like you're a contender, it shows through your play. I still think Arkansas, Brad, I still think they have a lot of flaws. I still don't think their flaws have been completely eliminated, especially at guard, but their confidence and their energy just overcomes it, and I think that's been the key for them. What do you think, Brad, has been the key for Arkansas's turnaround?
Yeah, I completely agree. If you look at this team, the thing that you see with them is when Michael Qualls and Harris are playing well, then they're playing well, and when those two are not, they're not. So that tells me that outside of Bobby Portis, those two are the biggest difference makers that Arkansas has on the team. Now, we may not like everything that they do, especially Harris, but Harris has the ability to do some things that other guys on the team just don't. But when those two are playing well, this team is better. And I'll also point to the fact that Antoine Bell has come in and started playing better. And when you talk about thin at guard, as we have been for the whole year, and then you have an Antoine Bell sighting in Maui, and then he didn't come back from Hawaii, just stayed out there for a while. And then all of a sudden he decides, well, man, I probably should get back to my team. So he comes back and starts playing well. And when you add that in to the mix, especially being thin at guard, it's done nothing but help. And also, you got to think about Drake Wade, a guy that really, he's not scoring a bunch of points, but he's doing a lot of things that a senior should do for a team. And I think those have been some of the key things that have helped this team along the way. And like you said, it's just a confidence thing. Somewhere along the line, they decided they didn't want to drop any more close games. And if you look at the close games, if Arkansas turns those close games into wins, I mean, this team is solidly in. They're in the top 25. We're talking about seeding. We're not talking about being on the bubble. But, that's the process of a program. And I think that they decided they didn't want to lose any more home game or any more road games, and they just started playing better. And I don't know, what Mike did behind the scenes to punch the right buttons or whatever it was, but whatever he did something right, and this team's playing better than really, I'd say the stretch that Arkansas had in 2006 when Ronnie Brewer was a junior, and that was, we're trying to get into the tournament and hadn't been to the tournament in a while. And I think at that point we were 5-6 in conference, and we rolled off 5 in a row. That's probably as far back as you go as far as playing this well. And if you look at the record right now, Arkansas are on pace to have the best record that they've had since 1997-98, and also the first back-to-back winning conference seasons with a win tonight against Ole Miss since the 96, 97, 97, 98 seasons. So it's been a while, but you can tell with those stats that Arkansas is heading into a place they haven't been in almost 20 years.
Well, when you look at reasons for the turnaround, I do have to give Mike Anderson a lot of credit. Now, I've given him some crap about late game play calling and just X's and O's and things like that, but the way he's pushed the right buttons with the players has been the best part for me. The fact that Mardrakus Wade, there were a couple games where he didn't get to play at all, and he's tweeting. He never tweeted anything just like really derogatory, but you could tell he was upset. And he gets his chance, he comes in and he plays well. Michael Qualls and Landis Harris get suspended. They come back and now they're playing well. It's just like Mike Anderson has pushed the right buttons and done the right things to get Arkansas into a position where he can get guys he counts on, guys that he can count on, and they've turned it around. Looking at the Joe Lunardi bracketology on ESPN, guys, he's got Arkansas as a 12 seed playing in against Oregon. You know who Oregon's coach is?
Coach Altman.
He called the Hogs and left the next day. So that would be an interesting discussion there, Brad, because if they were to play that game, that would be fun. Be in Orlando. Winner would get Louisville, and the way that bracket sets up, Michigan State's the 4 seed. They play in the third round, so that's looking like a not real fun draw for Arkansas. They want to win these next couple games, win a game or two in the SEC tournament, and get themselves out of that play-in.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Now, tonight, you cannot lose this game tonight because you're on the bubble. According to Lenardi, there's some other projections that have us in better than he does, but all at the same time, you just can't lose tonight. You win tonight, and then, that Alabama game scares me. I mean, I'm not going to lie, and maybe that's just the fact that, I'm still not used to us playing decently on the road. But Alabama's played pretty well at home and knocked off some pretty good teams. In fact, I think SEC-wise, Tennessee and Florida are the only two that have been able to go into Alabama and win a game. So even though their record is porous, and their conference record's not great, they've been pretty good at home. So that's going to be a tough one. Plus, the fact we played horrible against Alabama at home, and if it wasn't for Bobby Portis's 35 points, we lose that game. And, of course, then I don't think that we even see what we're seeing right now if we lose that game. So that game scares me, but I think tonight is a huge key because if you win tonight, you're 10-7 in conference. You've won 6 in a row and 8 out of 9. Then you go into the Alabama game. I think with a little bit of leeway, you lose that game, and you got to win some. You got to win a game or two in the tournament. You beat Alabama at Alabama. I think you're solidly in. And 11-7 in conference after a 2-6 start is just unbelievable.
And to your point about Alabama at home, they are a completely different team. I'm looking here at their record. 6-point loss to Florida at home, and then a shocker there against Tennessee where they got beat down pretty good in the midst of a 4-game losing streak there for Alabama. But everybody else, they've beaten at home. So Arkansas going in there on Trevor Rilliford's senior night, that's going to be a tough win, not something that can be marked down already well, and they're going to have to go in there and play well.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, the game tonight, I think Arkansas should beat Ole Miss. Ole Miss, they don't have the front court that they had the last couple of years. They still have Marshall Henderson. When a place like Bud Walton Arena with a palace-like atmosphere, he's going to try to show out if he can. So they'll have to deal with him. But other than that, I expect them to get the job done tonight. You guys are right about Alabama. I mean, Alabama's a team who they can scare you for a number of reasons. First of all, defensively, they are really, really solid in the half court. They've got some length. They've got some athleticism, and they play a pace that's really, really tough. They came into Bud Walton and slowed Arkansas down.
Yep.
This team will grind you. They play in a gym where there's like 5 people in the crowd, so the energy level is low. They play, long, athletic, grind you out type defense. It's one of those places where I could see Arkansas, if they're not careful, late in the second half, the score being 51-44, Alabama nursing a 5, 6, 7 point low scoring lead. But if they win, I'm with you, Brad. I think if they can win that game, they'll put them in. If they lose, I still think they have some leeway.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just a perception thing to me at this point. The SEC is not a highly perceived conference, and so I think if Arkansas played in the ACC or the Big 12 or any other place with the same record, you're probably looking at a team that's solidly in with one more win. But I think they've got to get the second win. And, just basically don't lay an egg in the tournament. But I think at 11-7 in conference, no matter what they do, they're probably going to go ahead and be in. But you just wouldn't expect Arkansas to do that right now as well as they've been playing lately. And if they can just continue to play on that level, I mean, you've got to think that they'll win tonight. They're going to play pretty well at Alabama, and then they'll go into the SEC tournament with a team that can make some noise. Now, I don't know if they'll win it. And I think a lot of that depends on the draw, but I think that they can play well and make some noise in the SEC tournament. And then if you can get them out of that play-in game, and especially the draw that Mark mentioned earlier, I mean, you want to get a little better draw than that. That's a pretty tough draw right there. But if they can get a right draw, I mean, we might be talking about a team that can win a game or two. And look, Arkansas hasn't been to the Sweet 16 since 1996. I'm not even calling that right now at all because we're not even in the tournament. But if they were to win a game, or it would be a major step in the program.
Well, while we're talking about the Hogs, we can talk about Coach Cal. This is something that Weldon wanted to talk about before. Arkansas beats Kentucky, goes into Rupp Arena, where literally never wins. 20 years, the 94 national championship team, last team to beat Kentucky in Rupp, and go get a win. I don't know if it's time to poke at Coach Cal and say, "Told you so." This crap wouldn't work. You got the best recruiting class in history, and Brad and I both agree. I saw that on Twitter. The Harrison twins just aren't that good. But is it time for everybody to sort of start poking at Coach Cal? Because I hate the way he throws his players under the bus. Now he came back. He's one of those slimy scumbags who he'll throw them under the bus, and that's what he really thinks. And then the next day he'll come back, in a campus interview with some newspaper that nobody's ever going to read and say, "Yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. It wasn't the player's fault." So he's like on the big stage, he throws them under the bus, and then he takes a little bit of the blame on himself later on. Is it time to start giving him the blame and saying it's his style, or do you think it's just something about the way this team is?
I think John Calipari, I'm not even saying good reason. I think for a multitude of reasons, he's one of the most interesting figures in sports, and here's why. You know what the characteristics of a mob leader is? It's a guy who every time there's a camera around, every time there's a photo op, he's there shaking hands, kissing babies, passing out turkeys to the poor, donating money, building churches. But behind the scenes, the guy's done some really questionable things. And that's what Cal is to me. He's always come across to me as that guy. And you can never pin him down because whatever your perception of him and his team is, he always takes the opposite approach. Like before the year, everybody was hyping up this recruiting class, hyping up what they could be, and he'd sit there and go, "Oh, we're just freshmen. I told our staff we're going to get beat by Michigan State. I already said it, And then when they struggle, people get on him and his team. He then go, people are overreacting. We're really better than what people think. He always takes the opposite approach of the perception of his team. And so that's why people never get a finger on him. They never can get a hand on him because he's always trying to slime away from wherever the perception is. And so as far as his method of recruiting, I just think he's done a bad job of finding pieces that fit. He's the guy who's like, we're Kentucky. We can recruit nationally. We recruit whatever we want. Get players that fit together. Get somebody that can shoot. I mean, other than Brandon Knight a few years ago and maybe a Deron Lamb, for the most part, he doesn't recruit shooters. And then he recruits some good athletes, and when they don't pan out from a skill level standpoint, like an Archie Goodwin or whatever, it's kind of like whatever. He's a guy who invites the one and dones. He invites the freshmen, even though he says he doesn't. He's just going by the rules. He then complains about it. That's what Cal is. That's why people don't like him, Brad, and that's why I think he's one of the more interesting figures in sports.
Yeah, you're dead on with that. I mean, that's a perfect characterization of him, a mob boss. I mean, that's kind of where he's at. And I'm all over that with you as far as their team and their chemistry. He's hit it big twice. He's hit it big 3 times, and really the first time was because Derrick Rose was just incredible. But, he's hit it big 3 times, once at Memphis, twice at Kentucky. The John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins draft class there that they had, with really lack of a better term there, the draft class, because that's what it is. When you get a supremely talented person like John Wall, you can bring everybody in around them, and they can be better. And then he hit it big to win the national championship. But if you look at the championship team was actually led by sophomores and juniors. Terrence Jones decided to stay around, and some others that decided to stay around for year 2. Well, that gave them enough chemistry and enough experience to go ahead and be a very good basketball team. And they were one of the best that we've seen probably in the last 5 to 10 years. But that formula just doesn't work every time. It just doesn't. And he's going to continue to do that because, look, he can throw it out there that you can bring these type of freshmen in and you can play for a national championship. You have a chance to. But here's the problem with that. It's a very varied type of situation because you can play for a national championship or you can go to Robert Morris last year in the NIT and lose in the first round. That's the difference in what they do. And so it's kind of a catch-22 with him, and it's one of those things that if he continued to have years like last year, and, this year, I really think they saved their season last night with a win over Alabama, but they're definitely still very flawed. If they get to where they're playing pretty well, everybody's going to build them back up, but if they lose in the first round of the tournament, people are going to want his head on a stake, and he'll have maybe 1 to 2 years to get it fixed, or it's over for him at Kentucky, even though he did win a national championship.
All right, 4 quick questions for you. 4 rapid-fire questions for you before we get off the air today. Things that we've talked about throughout the day, developing things in the NFL, NBA, and I guess it's NFL, NBA, and then and high school sports. 42-yard PAT, for or against?
4.
4-point play in the NBA, for or against?
Against.
Why are you against it? I got to hear this.
It was rapid fire.
Yeah, it was rapid fire. I lied.
Here's the thing. I don't like the fact that you're going to move a 35-foot shot or a 40-foot shot. To me, it turns the game into a circus, because when you start getting out there, I don't care how skilled you are, that's a hard shot. You're going to hit that shot about 15% to 20% of the time, and I just think it takes something from the game that I just don't think that people want that right now. A 4-point shot is just too much, in my opinion. It's too far. Yeah, here's my thing. If you're going to put a 4-point shot in, shoot it from behind half court, and if you make it, you get 4. Now, I think that there should probably be some rules attached to that, as in basically this is a last-second shot still. You can't get 4 points unless it's within 5 seconds left of the quarter or whatever, or the game. I just think it turns it into a circus that we don't want right now.
All right, in high school basketball, for or against the shot clock?
Very much for a shot clock. I think that should have been done years and years ago. I remember going to a regional tournament and watching the Hector Wildcats play the Jessieville Lions, and Hector was one of the best AA teams I've ever seen play. And Jessieville held the ball and took a 10-9 lead into the half, and really, controlled the game for the first half. Well, once they got behind and they could never catch up, they didn't really have a chance. They didn't stand a chance against that Hector team. I just think you've got to eliminate that type of ball. It's just not pleasing. And, really, that night there was definitely some people that were ready to not only beat the refs up, but they were also ready to beat the Jessieville coach up. It created a nice situation that I don't think a lot of people want to deal with if you're an administrator. So I'm saying, and I'm with Weldon, a 30-second shot clock is fine in college basketball. I think if I'm going to do it in high school, I'd probably do a 35 to 40-second shot clock and do it that way. But I think you've got to do something, because for a team to be able to hold the ball for 2 and 3 minutes at a time, I just don't like it. I don't think that's the game of basketball and how it's intended to be played.
Definitely, I agree. All right, we're going to get you out of here on this one, and I'm already smiling because I know where I'm going. NBA MVP, who you got?
Let's see here. If I had to vote for it today, now I don't know that this won't change, but today I'm going to still say Kevin Durant for the body of work. But I think that obviously LeBron is definitely making his case to be the guy. If you look at Kevin Durant's stats, they're really, really good. I mean, they're unbelievable. I mean, he's getting his rebounds and assists are way up this year versus, years past. So I'm saying Durant today, but I'm saying that it's very possible that LeBron can take, 5? Would this be 5 out of 6 if he took it?
Yeah, he's got 4 out of 5 right now. 5 out of 6.
He's got 4 out of 5, so this would be 5 out of 6 if he took it. I think that it's a fluid situation, and I think it can change. And to be honest with you, I bet it comes down to which team has the best record at the end of the day. And I think at the end of the day, I think that Oklahoma City will have a better regular season record than Miami.
Right now, I'm with him. LeBron's got 27, 7, and 6. Kevin Durant's 31, 7, and 5.
Yeah.
So right now, the numbers he's putting up are just silly. But I do think Russell Westbrook coming back is going to hurt him statistically. I just think with 20-some games left, it's not going to hurt him enough to where LeBron just passes him, unless he just has some more games like the other night and down the stretch of the season. it's just how much energy do you want to expend to do it? I know LeBron wants to be an all-time great. He wants to win that MVP. But like we've said 1,000 times, that voter fatigue and the fact that everybody has heard LeBron James and seen him lift up that MVP trophy 4 out of the last 5 years, much to Brad's dismay, I think they're going to give it to Kevin Durant.
Yeah, and I think Kevin Durant, his numbers will be hurt to a degree by Westbrook because I think Westbrook's playing more of a true point guard. I think it'll offset it a little bit. They'll go down somewhat, but I think Kevin Durant will still put up his numbers. But I'll go back to the point I told you, and Brad, I don't know if you heard it, but I feel like LeBron has almost a reverse champion challenge where normally when you're the champion, somebody's got to come take it from you. When you're the MVP, somebody's got to come take it from you. But I feel the opposite. Because of voter fatigue, I feel like LeBron's got to do something extraordinary to keep it because if they're even or even somewhat close, I feel like Kevin Durant will be the guy.
Well, when you go back, look at Michael Jordan. I mean, in 1993, Charles Barkley won the NBA MVP and averaged 25 points a game. Michael Jordan didn't average 25 points a game, but 2 years in his career, and one of them was with the Wizards. Actually, no, I'm sorry, 3 years, and two of them were with the Wizards, and one of them was with the Bulls his second year. Other than that, or I'm sorry, his first year. Other than that, Michael Jordan didn't ever average under 28, I think, points per game in his career. So I think voter fatigue is a factor in that. Also, Karl Malone stole an MVP from Michael Jordan. Of course, all that did was drive him to beat Karl Malone, which ended up doing that in the finals 2 years in a row there. I think that you're right. It's some sort of voter fatigue, and it's got to be LeBron showing that, I don't know, being greater than he already has been. Last year, LeBron shot, I don't know, what was it, almost 60% from the field. That's pretty hard to live up to. And you set a standard when you're that great that it's just almost impossible to live up to. And I think that's what LeBron's going with right now. He just can't live up to his own standards. And as great as he is, and as great as he can be, I mean, 60% from the field, and the year that he had last year was just unbelievable. It was one of the great years of all time.
Definitely was. All right, Brad, don't be a stranger. Call back anytime, and hopefully I'll get to see you up there in Alma this weekend.
All right, sounds good.
Brad Caldwell, former co-host of the Sports Blitz. He's up there in Huntsville living it up now in the ice apocalypse. But we've gone overtime today. We knew we were going to, but we got to get you out of here. We got to go watch some state tournament basketball this weekend. We hope you'll enjoy that. Get your tickets today to the Brightest Stars banquet. Just $25, and you get to come watch a couple hours of great entertainment. You got the Aaron Peters coming. You got the Italian Gardens dinner, and you'll get to see some kids be honored, especially some that would never normally get recognition. You don't see track and cross country and swimming and those golf. Those kids get awarded this often, so I'm very much looking forward to this. We hope you'll go to rivervalleyleader.com or facebook.com/RVL News. Find us, get yourself some tickets, and get excited about this event. Tell your friends and family about it because, it could be your kid this year, it could be your kid later on, but we really want to keep this event going so that we can get some kids some recognition. It's not a big fundraising event. This is something to push the kids and push the student athletes and coaches and really just give them something to be honored for.
Absolutely.
All right, that's Weldon. That's Maddie. I'm Mark saying so long. We'll see you Friday at 11 o'clock with more Sports Blitz.